A violent storm rose across the Sea of Galilee, and the disciples were terrified. It began like any other night on the water, darkness settling over the sea, the boat cutting through quiet waves, and tired men thinking they would soon reach the other side. But the weather changed without warning. The sky darkened rapidly, as though something had pulled a curtain over the heavens. Thick clouds gathered with unusual speed, swallowing the stars one by one until there was nothing but blackness overhead. Then the wind came. At first it was distant, just a shift in the air. But within moments, it grew into a violent force that swept across the sea with terrifying speed. The water responded almost instantly. Calm waves turned into rising walls of motion. The sea began to rise and fall violently, as if something deep beneath it had awakened. A small wooden fishing boat carrying the disciples was suddenly no longer safe. It was exposed, fragile and alone in the middle of an expanding storm. Waves began striking the boat from every direction. Water spilled over the sides. The wood groaned under pressure. Every movement of the sea felt intentional, like it was trying to swallow them whole. Inside the boat, fear spread quickly. The disciples, experienced fishermen who had seen rough waters before, now realized this was different. This was not normal weather. This was chaos. They shouted instructions over the roaring wind, trying to steady the boat, pulling ropes tight, bracing themselves against the violent shaking. Some tried to scoop out water. Others held on to the edges of the boat as it lifted and dropped violently between waves, but nothing worked. The storm was too powerful, too overwhelming, too fast. It felt unstoppable. And in the middle of all of it, Jesus Christ was asleep. At the back of the boat, away from the panic, he rested peacefully. His body moved gently with the motion of the boat, but his face carried no fear, no tension, no awareness of panic. While everything around him was breaking into chaos, he remained completely still. The disciples could not understand it. How could anyone sleep through this? How could someone remain calm while death felt so close? The contrast between the chaos and his peace made the fear even stronger. It was as if the storm outside was nothing compared to the confusion inside them. A massive wave struck the side of the boat, shaking everyone violently. That was the moment fear turned into desperation. They rushed to him, some stumbling, others shouting over the wind, grabbing him, shaking him awake. "Master! Master!" The storm roared louder. The boat tilted again. Water flooded their feet. "Don't you care that we are about to die?" The question was not just panic, it was confusion, disbelief, and fear all at once. They had seen his power before, but in this moment, it felt hidden, silent, unresponsive. Then everything changed. Jesus Christ stood up. It was not rushed. It was not forced. It was calm. In the middle of a storm that could destroy everything, he rose as though nothing around him had authority over the moment. The wind continued to scream. The waves still rose high. The boat still shook. But now every eye was fixed on him. He stood facing the storm, not afraid of it, not reacting to it, not fighting it, just standing with authority over it. And then he spoke. "Peace, oh, be still." The voice did not match the chaos. It did not match the storm. It was calm, steady, and final, like a command that creation itself could not ignore. And immediately, everything obeyed. The wind stopped as if it had been cut off mid-breath. The violent waves that had been crashing seconds ago collapsed into stillness. The sea that had been roaring like a beast became completely calm, smooth, silent and unmoving. Even the rain seemed to vanish as the sky began to clear. The transformation was instant. No delay, no gradual fading, just complete silence. The disciples stood frozen. They did not speak. They did not move. They looked around at the sea, then at each other, then at him. What they were witnessing did not make sense in the world they understood. Moments ago they were preparing to die. Now they were floating on perfectly calm water under a clearing sky, and Jesus remained there, calm, unshaken, present. The one who had slept through the storm was now the one who commanded it. Slowly, realization began to settle in their hearts. This was not just power over weather. This was authority over nature itself, authority over fear, authority over chaos, authority over everything that had just tried to destroy them. They looked at him in silence, overwhelmed by what they had just seen. Because in that moment, they understood something they had never fully grasped before. Even the storm obeyed him.